But one issue over the summer came such a highlight is this kiosk problem. And normally that wouldn't be in my area, but it became kind of part of my area because in a lot of these kiosks, they're flipping the magazine, the plastic magazine dispensers over on their sides and using them for beds and chairs and all that. So we decided that we should get involved from a beautification point of view. First of all, they don't look very good and they're jumbled and they flip over. But also from the point of view that by coming up with a better solution for that, it also helps create a better solution for the kiosk issue as well. So I don't know if any of you noticed, but we looked at 35th Street. We're not sure if that's a sample installation or something different, but there is a permanent installation of glass bolted to the ground of an AM New York and a Metro paper. Now it's a little big and bulky, maybe not the ideal situation, but you can see that the magazine publishers have already starting to find out the same thing we're finding out, that this is a big issue, and try to come up with a working solution with some of the backing of the publishers to create a better way to distribute these magazines. And we feel that the only way we really can be successful with this is to try to get some of these magazine publishers on board with us from the very beginning, so they have a say in the design, they have a say in what's happening, so they're as enthusiastic, and we'll offer them our support and help in the community. We've talked about creating a contest for the designers to put designs into us for various types of units that would hold these magazines together. So that's what we'll be working on right away now. The other action plan for the other little areas, we'll continue to work on that and present that at the next meeting.
Matt Green is here today, and Matt was very, very helpful. Hi, Matt. You want to say hello? You want to come up and say hello?
So my name is Matt Green. I'm with City Council Member Corey Johnson's office. And I wasn't planning on saying anything, but I did want to just come by and put a name to the face. I've have spoken to many of you before, but I haven't been to this community council meeting before. And we've been working with Sharon and John really closely on the Linksys issue. Last month, the council member wrote a letter to do it, expressing his concerns with the functionality. We're pleased to see that the city is taking some action to disable the internet access. So I think we're in a good place. I think what is most helpful right now is to hear your feedback, because we don't know what's going on unless we have to hear it from you. So if you can tell our office what you're seeing, if there's an improvement, that way we can relay it to do it, and let them know what we're hearing from our constituents. So I really appreciate all the work that everyone has done to inform our office about the problems, and I just wanted to come by and let you know that we'll continue to stay on it, and hopefully we'll see some marked improvements for the long term.
And we thank you guys for all the help you've given us. Corey Johnson has really worked hard, and we really appreciate it.
And if you've looked at the newsletter, you'll see that there's a YouTube channel now where we've got some of our guest speakers up on the YouTube, and hopefully we can do a little bit more with some of those videos. And it's great work, Dan. You're doing a wonderful job, so thank you very, very much. I just want to introduce now Richard Rubel. He's going to talk about his role at Penn Station and also the role that the BRC plays. Now, I know most of you are pretty savvy about the subjects that we're talking about, but there are some new people here, so I'll just give you a quick rundown of what the BRC is. It's the Bowery Residents Committee, which was founded in 1971 by homeless men. They got together, they were sick of their plight, and they created services for themselves. And I looked at some statistics today. They've been servicing individuals now for 45 years. Last year, there were 10,497 people sent to the BRC. 1,760 individuals are sleeping under their roof each night, and their programs are there to empower their clients with knowledge and skills to permanently overcome poverty, addiction, physical, mental illness, and homelessness and unemployment. And the other question tonight, when you have done your presentation, I want to ask you about the safe haven beds that we spoke about with Beth yesterday. We weren't quite sure what that is, but we hear it's a great program and there's a lot to be said about it. So I'll ask you that question at the end. So now I'd like you, Richard, to come and talk to our community about the role that you play and about the BRC role. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, Sharon. I came to Amtrak in 1995, and I think right at the outset of my career in the railroad, I came to this committee and worked with the Midtown South Police. I've been in the Hell's Kitchen community for over 30 years. I worked for about 14 years doing homeless project management for the Port Authority bus terminal, and had also done it at other Port Authority facilities. So I'm no stranger to it. To piggyback on what Eugene was saying before, the kiosks or the newspaper bins has been a problem for us too. It's good to be here. It's good to find new partners and continue working with the old partners and work on our combined issues. I'm not a social service type. I've been a transportation manager for over 30 years, and we just find that it's good business to provide a quality social services program combined with strict rules enforcement to serve the traveling public, and also to get the homeless, to convince them to sell them a service that they so desperately need. And I'm very proud to say that Amtrak over the last 20 years has really made a big financial commitment to do so, where they could probably get a couple of extra ticket agents and red caps and use my outreach office as a retail store. They've set aside and made the commitment to provide social services, which is very new to them. Again, going back to the Port Authority, they did this back in the late 80s, early 90s, and that's where I cut my teeth doing this stuff. And I'm glad to hear John's enthusiasm, because my enthusiasm waxes and wanes with all the issues that go on around us. But again, we're still doing it. We're still firmly committed behind the program. We have New Jersey Transit people here, by the way. I'm also glad that our Lieutenant Malloy invited me here, and so we have our police representation. The Channel 2 pieces, the New York Post pieces, sometimes they don't really get the correct image of what goes on there. I think the homeless come to our station because it's a well-maintained, climatically controlled space. They're not, subject to crime. Their needs are met there. They panhandle, which is illegal in the station. They get food from the garbage pails, which I'm not happy about. But it kind of lends itself to you have to have programs, and they all have to be working in conjunction with one another to really improve the quality of life of the station. So really what I've done at Amtrak is we look at physical plant issues. We remove the niches where people can hide and sleep and go undetected. We improve lighting. If an area is too hospitable, we try to make it a little less hospitable. And the biggest point of our program is providing social services 365 days a year. Homelessness doesn't take a holiday. In fact, in our population counts, we find that Christmas Day and Christmas Eve sometimes is the highest number. And so we have social services available upon demand, which is a very, very powerful tool. If anybody asks you, are you ready to stop smoking or ready to go on a diet, and you're not ready, well, maybe you'll be ready a little later on. So that's the hope that keeps the outreach work is going, is that we'll be there, we'll keep asking, and hopefully you'll realize that there's a better alternative to what they're doing. The outreach office is located at the bottom of the 7th Avenue, 32nd Street entrance. We had 8 hours of service a day, 365 days a year. Now I'm proud to say that we have almost round-the-clock services, and we're soon going to have, we don't have it on Friday nights, over the midnight hours on Friday night and Saturday night, but we will have that shortly. And we have that because we're partnering with the Long Island Railroad and the MTA. Previously, what we had happening is Amtrak had one social service provider. We started with Project Renewal. Urban Pathways was a was a very, very successful organization with us, and now we have BRC. But what would happen, the dynamic is that we would do our pushes and our outreach and our police enforcement. The Long Island Railroad would do theirs, and so the homeless would be jockeying between the two floors of the station, if not the community. Now, with one social service provider that provides services for Amtrak, for Long Island Railroad, for the city subways, we have one entity that treats Penn Station holistically as one facility. You know, the problem that we have on the Farley Steps, for example, or Pyramid Park, or Kmart Plaza, you know, is our problem. So, you know, in the summertime, if we have a little downtime, which we do, we're glad to have our numbers decrease in the summertime, but we're also, you know, painfully aware that it'll be cold very shortly, and they'll be back in the station or by the station. So we all jointly go after and you know, provide outreach for this population. Again, one of the examples in how we partner, we have the Madison Square Garden Community Council that we work with. They are a huge economic engine for the city, and we basically take advantage of that and use their contacts and their police resources to help us. We do social services meetings about once a month with all the agencies in the area and all the police personnel, the transit, the Midtown South, all the different agencies, homeless PD, homeless outreach unit, and we talk about our clients. We talk about the issues we're facing, and we share success stories and you know, areas that need work. So that's an ongoing meeting, and by doing so, the city's Department of Homeless Services brings us more resources. Sharon was talking about the safe haven beds. Well, those are very, very desirous facilities where you talked about the threshold. If a homeless person had to be stone cold sober or they wouldn't be able to get into these facilities. So a safe haven, for example, you know, you are required to, you know, to use your bed and not give it up, but you can basically go outside, continue the activities you do, but you can't misbehave in the facilities. So that's good. That lowers the bar for admittance, but it also provides them, you know, almost round the clock access to services. So it's a very, very desirable service in what's semi-private rooms, if not private rooms. So these are what clients want, and you're not going to push a client into something he doesn't want. So you have to have these services available to you. And we're very fortunate that we keep getting more and more services available to us, which help us entice clients into accepting services. The other tool that we're using now, we've just watched the mentally ill population just grow on the streets and in the station. And we didn't have access to doctors or social service workers that were legally licensed to make determinations of people's competency. But now we do. And we do what's called the 958 removal process, where we have case studies on all the clients that we're working on, and we watch them, and we record what's going on. How are they behaving? Are they taking care of themselves? Are they being abusive to our customers? And so they'll make a determination that this person has gotten so bad and is acting out so badly that there's a risk to himself or to others, that our social service worker, in conjunction with our police department, will forcibly commit that person. It's an arrest, then they're taken to the hospital, and that's when the social service agency liaises with the hospital and works with them to try to get a lengthier hospital stay for these clients. I don't know much about the medical effectiveness of the drugs, but I do know that if somebody goes in and starts a program and then checks themselves out, the drugs haven't had any opportunity to take effect. It takes weeks for, I don't know what the drugs are actually, the mental, psychotropic, thank you. So that's a real problem. But once you see these people on their meds, and they come back in the station, and they come back and talk with you, it's like you don't recognize them. It's truly a success story. but it's just very hard for them to get to that spot. But, you know, again, by just not tolerating people, you know, on our floors or hiding in the niches or eating out of the garbage pails, I'll call it a tough love type of program. By doing that, you're kind of forcing their hand to either find some other place to go that's less defensible, or come inside. Just had an incident today. I was talking to a customer who gave a homeless woman $1. I said, you're really undoing the work that we're trying to do, because that's just rewarding bad behavior. It's keeping a person on the street. They're not being taken indoors that way. We strive to get them into our office. It's like a movie theater. We get paid by butts and seats. We want to see people in our office.
You know, sometimes I have a tough time with that, especially when they're missing a leg or something. And I've heard this from Lisa Lombardi too. You know, not to give them money. And it's a tough. I think I think we all struggle with that. I'm sure.
It's very hard for us not to. Well, you know, I like seeing actually that I walk at the community, and almost every corner has somebody on it, and I'm thinking, God, where are we living these days? And then I go into Penn Station, and I feel it's kind of a respite from that. You know, it's going on, it's there, but it's not somebody at every corner. You know, we really gotten to a point where it's just not good, and for a lot of reasons. And no, so I want the person to feel like they could come to us and get what they're ultimately needing on a long-term basis than this little quickie fix. And one of the ways in which we can really do this is by educating, you know, our customers, educating people that really they're making themselves feel better, but they're not really helping in the long term. When I got to Penn Station, we made sure that all of our police officers were trained in the delivery of offering social services. They don't want to fight. You know, and before I got here, you know, bad things were happening. You know, officers were getting hurt. You know, lawsuits were on the rise. It just, you know, stores were shut down. And when it gets that bad, and it was the same thing at the bus terminal, ridership goes down. And when ridership goes down, there's less staff members. It's a real negative cycle. And so when I came here, the first thing we did is we trained the police officers and said, this is your tool. It's not for me. I'm not here, you know, 24 hours a day, but the police officers are staffing the station 24 hours a day. So they need to, you know, avail themselves of the service like the client does, and learn how to work with the outreach worker to, you know, get a synergy to get the person to accept services. So our police are trained with it. Our customer services people know, again, it's something we've delivered for 20 years. I'm starting my 22nd year with the railroad. God, 30 years in this business.
Wow.
It's too long.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So again, like all these initiatives put together, I kind of equate it with an engine firing on all cylinders. If the physical plant is in great shape, if the social service workers are inspired and out on the floor and paying attention and talking to the clients, if the police, you know, get it and realize that, you know, you're not going to arrest these people, you're not going to, you know, it takes engagement, it takes a personal daily relationship. It's like the cop on the beat, and I think we have that in Penn Station. Are we going to be able to help everybody? Absolutely not. That's why sometimes I can't share your enthusiasm for us really beating it, but there's satisfaction in doing what we do and helping the numbers of people we do.
Thank you.
I've put people on trains that have graduated from a detox program, that is somebody that we have worked with, that is somebody we know and we could clearly vouch for. That is somebody we'll put on a train, and we make sure that there's a connection for them to go to, that they're not just shuttling back and forth. What we do, well, there used to be a group called Travelers Aid. What our outreach teams do now is they make phone calls for them. They avail themselves of the office facilities, and we find out, well, can you afford this ticket? can you get to the bus terminal? Can you, take a Bolt bus? And we'll work with them to get them where, because we know that, we find young families, they come here, disillusioned, thinking they're going to do X, Y, and Z, and then they realize the harsh reality is, can you get an apartment for under $2,000 now? I don't know. So yeah, we see a lot of that, and we work very closely. If there's infants or small children involved, that's when the police get involved. But I'll make it a point of checking in occasionally and keep you guys apprised of how we're doing.